Welcome back to Camelback Ranch for spring training day 2 between the Dodgers and Padres. We will see Freddie Freeman make his spring debut for Los Angeles today. We know he'll be somewhere in the top of the Dodger lineup, and for more on that fearsome top 3 to be, here's Eldon Gonzalez.
Thanks, Kevin. And yeah, there's been a lot of intrigue as to how Dave Roberts will stack the top of his lineup, and I think we could begin to narrow it down. Mookie Betts led off yesterday, and Roberts said that it's a safe bet. That's where he'll be when the regular season begins. Today, Freddie Freeman is batting second. That just leaves Shohei Ohtani, who will get in Cactus League games next week, as the number 3 hitter. Now, Roberts said today, don't read too much into those number 2 and 3 spots, but he said he has spoken to all 3 of those guys, and it seems pretty clear that in order of Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, respectively, is what he prefers at the moment. Guys?
And it would be the same top 2 as last year, Alden, and then Shohei Ohtani taking the number 3 position for Will Smith, if that is indeed the case. We saw a little bit of Shohei Ohtani today. This was the crowd for a live batting practice. That's a crowd for an average spring training game. Eddie, you and I were dangerously close to this, and we got to see Shohei Ohtani foul the ball off against James Paxton, very exciting, and then draw a simulated walk.
Yeah, this was actually a lot of fun, and it was fun not only watching Ohtani and the rest of the team, but also the fans. It was crazy over there, and you and I sort of risked a lot. I mean, we weren't even in front of the net. I mean, behind the net. We felt like we were in front of the net and very exposed.
Yeah, why we did that, still unclear, but we made it. We're alive, and we can give you the San Diego Padres lineup. Game 2 of spring. Dodgers winning 14-1 yesterday, and this is an irregular lineup for San Diego. This does not bring too many guaranteed big leaguers on the road here to Glendale. Kyle Higashioka certainly will break camp with the team. For Mike Schilt, the first-year manager. Dodger starter for their home opener, game 2 of spring, Landon Knack, who is an intriguing young right-hander, second-round pick of the Dodgers in 2020. He was LA's minor league pitcher of the year last season with terrific numbers.
And he throws strikes. He attacks the zone early, and that's one thing that Dave Roberts wants out of Landon Knack, to be able to use his 4 pitches effectively early on and not try to do too much, to stay within himself.
Right. Career numbers in the minor leagues: 227 1/3, 261 strikeouts.
Landon Knack to Tyler Wade, and we are underway with day 2 of spring training. 1:08 Mountain Timer, first pitch. Landon Knack wearing number 96 with a fastball that could touch that very number. Tyler Wade does swing it. Strike 1. Gabe Morales has the plate today. Alan Porter, Mitch Malinsky, and Ryan Blakeney are the 4 umpires. Longtime Yankee Tyler Wade. By the way, that number 96 for Landon Knack, that was a number that 16 years ago a young Dodger pitcher named Clayton Kershaw wore in spring training. Same Clayton Kershaw that will join us today. We'll be talking to Clayton, who is back home. He'll join us from Zoom, get an update on his progress as he returns to the Dodgers this year. He'll return later in the year after the first major surgery of his career. 2-2 for Tyler Wade. Slams one off the netting.
Kershaw, of course, wears number 22 now, which puts him in competition with Jim Palmer for the greatest number 22 of all time. What do you think, Jim?
You want to make a pick on that one, Tim?
I think we're going to have to go with Kershaw, and that hurts.
I work with one of them, so you know where my allegiances must lie. That's fouled away by Wade.
How about if we just say the best lefty and the best righty to wear number 22?
That makes everybody happy right there. That's not a good compromise. That's a great compromise by you. Wade, Cal Mitchell, Graham Pauley are the top 3 today for San Diego as Tyler takes one down and in. A lot more regulars in the Dodgers lineup, which is almost always the case for the home team in spring training. Padres coming from Peoria, which is not a long drive. And a 3-2 to start the game. Tyler Wade spoiling pitch after pitch.
And spring training is used for a lot of things. The pitchers to get their innings in, the hitters to get their swings in, but also even for the defensive players. You got Miguel Vargas, who's now playing in left field today for the Dodgers, and it's his first outing in the outfield in spring, and it's going to take some time for him to get used to. Manny Margot in center field is actually letting him know, you got to move over a little bit more. Watch the swing of the hitter. You can play around with their reactions.
A 9-pitch at bat to start the game, and Knack strikes out Wade to begin spring training game number 2.
Knack throwing this breaking pitch up in the zone, and Wade thinking it's going to break a little bit more. Swung on a pitch out of the zone. See his reaction right there.
Cal Mitchell, number 2 batter for the Padres today. Part of the outfield depth in the San Diego system, which they'd still like to improve. Traded Juan Soto. The Padres have Fernando Tatis Jr. locked into right field. Left and center are still open questions. If the season started today, you'd see Jose Azocar out there in center. The Padres brought back Jurickson Profar, but neither of those two have a lock on a starting spot. Mitchell smokes one into center field, and that's a routine play for one of the new Dodgers, Manuel Margot.
Jackson Merrill, a shortstop for the Padres, played left field and played it awfully well yesterday as he attempts to make the club. Really good young hitter.
Jackson is part of the Padres traveling roster today. Jackson Merrill, Ethan Salas, who are the Padres' top 2 prospects, and 2 of the best prospects in baseball are with the team. So hopefully stick around to see some late at bats for those 2. Graham Pauley, this is an interesting young hitter for San Diego. He's their number 11 prospect according to Kylie McDaniel, and to see very good minor league numbers a year ago. And one thing of note today, Graham Pauley, who did not play a lick of first base last year, is starting at first. He's primarily a third baseman, but San Diego has a good one of those. And Manny Machado, who is signed for a long time. So Graham Pauley getting a look at first makes you think the Padres may be trying to figure out a way to get his bat on the roster this year. And Pauley goes down swinging. A knick-knack paddywhack kind of first inning for the young Dodger righty. 2 strikeouts. He bookends the inning much the way he bookends his last name. Dodger lineup could have former MVPs in the 1, 2, and 3 spots when the season starts. Don't forget they have another former MVP, Clayton Kershaw, the rare pitcher MVP winner a decade ago. We're going to see one of those MVPs today. Freddie Freeman will bat second for LA, which has more regulars in the starting lineup today, particularly the 2, 3, and 4 holes. Freeman, Smith, and Max Muncy, who will all be a big part of the LA lineup this season. That Dodger 9 is going to face Johnny Brito, one of the 5 players the Padres acquired in the Juan Soto trade. Eddie, a pretty good rookie season for Brito last year in the Bronx. Yeah, really good rookie season, and having that cup of coffee over there really helped a lot. In 25 games, you get 13 starts, 4.28 ERA, and 90 in the 3rd innings of pitch. Miguel Rojas back for his 2nd Dodger year. Takes Brito's first pitch for a strike.
And Brito throws 96 miles an hour with a really good spring. He's got a real good chance to be in this rotation to start the season.
Rojas a flare to second base and an easy play for Mason McCoy. There's the ovation for Freddie Freeman. You know, in a normal year, Freddie Freeman could have been the National League MVP. Mookie Betts could have been the National League MVP last year. Ronald Acuna Jr., of course, had an abnormal year. But 6 straight seasons in the top 10 for Freeman. And how about this? On the first pitch he sees in spring training, Freddie Freeman goes yard. Mid-season form on the 23rd of February. What else would you expect?
And Eduardo, that is the classic Freddie Freeman swing, and we saw it on the first one of spring training.
Guys, it's not that easy. I am sorry, but it is not that easy. But Freddie Freeman sure makes it look that easy. Fastball, he's attacking one place, one pitch, and he did not miss it. Forget about the velo, it's about the process, and the process for Freddie Freeman is to hit the ball to left center field with authority. He accomplishes that.
Close your eyes and you think you're in Dodger Stadium in July. Amazing. 29 home runs a season ago. Hit .331, and on the first pitch of spring, he makes it 1-0 LA. Will Smith now, and Smith will send one in the air to Mitchell in right.
Guys, there's going to be a chip on the shoulder of a lot of the Dodger players from how the season ended for them last year. Watch this swing. Hands stay still. They get in the hitter's position early. Short stride, balanced stride. And Freddie Freeman, that's the guy we were used to seeing on a nightly basis.
In BP, he practices line drive over the shortstop's head on virtually every pitch. That was a line drive over the shortstop's head, and it went into the stands.
Max Muncy now, the two-time All-Star third baseman. The way the season ended for the Dodgers, as Eddie just alluded to, they win 100 games, are swept in 3 by Arizona. Freddie Freeman was 1 for 10 with 2 walks in that 3-game sweep. So suspect as much as anybody, he has been dying to take another swing ever since then. And while the games don't really count here, the results are prime Freddie Freeman. A couple of strikes on Muncy. Smokes one in the air to center. Bryce Johnson has just enough room. Well, they didn't put up 8 in the first again, but the Dodgers do get on the board in the opening inning for the second straight day of spring. Andrew Friedman will join us coming up from Camelback. The Dodgers, 10 years, $700 million for Shohei Ohtani, 12 for $325 for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, traded for an extended Tyler Glasnow. Money left over for Teoscar Hernandez for a year. That was just some of what the Dodgers did after winning 100. And the Dodger president of baseball operations, Andrew Friedman, who I assume has not slept for the last few months, is with us right now. When was your first good night of sleep this offseason?
It went pretty heavy through middle of January for sure. There was like a week period before spring training where I was able to hibernate.
Yep.
And then spring training hit us.
Just straight cryo sleep for 7 days.
Exactly.
So, I mean, this has obviously been one of the most extraordinary off seasons we've ever seen in sports. It starts with the Ohtani deal. I want to know what the 24 hours were like for you when he announced, and then the 24 hours before that when the world was flying with wild rumors and speculation that he was going to Toronto or somewhere else.
Yeah, those two answers are on the opposite end of the continuum. There were times that Friday, the day before his announcement, where we, like everyone else, we were following Twitter and thinking he was going to Toronto, and not the greatest feeling. And I remember with our guys talking through, okay, if he goes to Toronto, here's where we're pivoting. This is what we're doing. It wasn't nearly as attractive as signing Shohei. So the next day when we got the great news, it was surreal. And obviously a lot came with that communication, reaching out to people. But even to this point, I'm not sure it's fully set in that Ohtani is a Dodger for me.
Andrew, they tell me the approach that Shohei has on everything is surgical, is the word. Have you seen that in everything that he does to get ready?
Yeah, it really is incredible. And we had heard some of that, as we were digging and trying to get to know more about him. But to see it is something totally different. In January, as he's cleared to start hitting off the tee and start taking soft toss, how intentional he was with every single thing he did really stood out. You watch guys get in the cage and just kind of mindlessly swing. And it's, hey, you got 50 swings today, and they're just mindlessly going through their 50. He did his pre-pitch routine between every swing, and just how intentional everything was has really stood out in every aspect. Watching him work with Clayton McCullough and Ron Renicky on leads and how to, breaks and footwork on the bases. It's incredible.
Now, you said intentional twice right there. Was it also intentional, the signing of Glasnow right after the trade? Was it also intentional going after more pitching as well with Paxton? And then getting getting more offense as well from the right side when you look at Teoscar Hernandez and Manny Margot?
Yeah, you know, the offseason's tricky, just the timing of it. And so it never usually goes in an order that you want it to. And so you've got to make calculated risks if, you know, a plan B is going off the board of assessing how likely plan A is. And, you know, there's a lot of tricky timing elements of the offseason. And for us, a lot of things just fell in really good order. And lined up, which a lot of times doesn't happen, and we feel extremely fortunate about.
And you notice I left Yamamoto out because, I mean, how special has he been in spring so far, and what have you seen from him?
Yeah, he it's standing behind the net and his 2 live BPs. I think it's the best command I've ever watched. It's Greinke-esque. His ability to command glove side, arm side. You know, the bucket full of pitches and his ability to execute is next level.
Can we keep you for another half inning?
Yeah, sure.
You got anywhere to be?
No?
All right, you got to be here. Baseball operations, spring training game 2, the Dodgers and the Padres. We were talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto before we went to break. Andrew, your big free agent pitcher only signing for 12 years and $3 to $25 million. When did Yoshinobu Yamamoto first come onto your radar?
I'd say probably 3 years ago. Our VP of player personnel, Galen Carr, is really connected and spends a lot of time in Japan. And our Japanese scout, Yogo Suzuki, you know, have been flagging this arm talent for a while. And to go out and do what he's done, winning the MVP 3 years in a row, the Sawamura Award. You know, I had the chance to go over a couple times last year. And I saw him at the end of the year. In September, and the arm talent, I'm glad no one was videoing me. I think I was just mouth agape watching. He's playing long toss before the game. He's 300 feet down the line. The catcher's, you know, in the grass right behind the plate, and he's not taking an aggressive crow hop, and he's lifting and throwing 300 feet, and it's through the catcher. It's not dying at the catcher. It is through him. And I think I was just sitting there mouth agape watching this go back and forth. And so the arm talent is incredible. And then you watch him pitch. You watch the way he competes. His ability, you know, he's got such good feel for how to manipulate the baseball and command it, which we feel like with the combination of stuff and execution is a really lethal combo.
And Andrew, when he throws the javelin and does those amazing back bends, what do you think when you see that?
Well, my back hurts. But the javelin is amazing. So I knew he threw the javelin, and I'd seen
Miguel Vargas with a hustle double. Meanwhile, off the glove of the shortstop for the Padres, Tyler Wade. Good start for Vargas to his spring training.
And you know, I'd seen it on YouTube. I dove into it. We spent a lot of time talking about it. But until you see it up close and personal, you don't get a full appreciation for it. And the way he presets his scap and the position he gets his shoulder in, and watching how deliberate he is on every throw. First of all, I think he can compete in the Olympics in the javelin, but I'm hoping he waits, you know, 15 years or so. But he'll throw 2 that, to me, look identical. And Chris Owings with a hit in the 5-6 hole.
Oh, why am I even here?
Over.
You're doing play-by-play with me. It's unbelievable. Oh, my gosh.
And our training staff has been watching it. Like, this is incredible. The patterning he's doing with his scap and the position he's getting his arm in and doing it over and over speaks to, you know, the health and what he's been able to do. And, you know, we're anxious to learn more about his training, because the one thing that is obvious is that we as an industry are not very good at keeping pitchers healthy. So if we can learn and grow, that's an added benefit.
Okay, now let's continue that conversation about the innings, the monitoring with Glass now, the monitoring as well with Yamamoto. How are you guys going to be able to piece all of this together? You got Buehler coming back from Tommy John. You have Clayton, who will be joining us a little bit later, also coming back from shoulder surgery. Paxton, who's had injuries in the past. How are you guys going to put this thing together?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you touched on those guys, all really talented, all guys that we're going to continue to have, conversations about. There's no hard and fast rules for us, so each one is going to be a little bit different. And it's getting a sense of how well they're holding stuff, how they're recovering after starts. But then you layer on top of that the Bobby Millers, the Sheehans, the Kyle Hurt, Michael Grove, just the arm talent that we have that are going to be in AAA or the big leagues that are going to serve also as really strong depth that are going to help us in our minds prevent runs. So how exactly it's going to play out, we don't know yet. And it's definitely going to require a lot of attention just to make sure that we're factoring in information from them on how they're recovering and, checking our things and just communicating our way through it. And so we don't know what it'll look like, but we feel really good about their ability to prevent runs.
Andrew, how important was Shohei Ohtani as a recruiter to sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto?
Yeah, I've joked that I had a pretty good handle on how good he is on the mound, how good he is in the box, how good he is on the bases. I had no idea we were also getting an assistant GM. His efforts with Glass now, with Yamamoto, he's definitely racking up assists.
What did he do to help lure those guys in?
So we were getting fairly close on Glass now, and I've really enjoyed talking players with ball hit the center, Vargas tags up.
I've never felt more useless. You're killing it. If this general manager, president of baseball operations thing doesn't work out, you've got a second career.
So I've really enjoyed talking players with Shohei and Ippei and talking about different players in the league and the passion that Shohei has for the game and how it extends to how he watches players and thinks about players. I've really enjoyed. And so we were talking, and can't remember how it came up, but something about how one of my favorite arms is Tyler Glasnow. I think the stuff, the body, like digging in on the past injury history, the bet we're making is that is more in the past. And he was like, me too. He's like, I love Tyler Glasnow. It's like, huh. We're trying to get him right now. And asked Ippei if Shohei would feel comfortable sending a video. If not, totally get it, no big deal. And so Shohei sends this incredibly thoughtful video with the English translation and get it into Tyler's hands, and he was blown away by it, and it certainly helped.
Now, did you know that Tyler's hair game was as good as it is?
No, you can't really fully appreciate TV. How TV adds 15 pounds? Right. It takes away some volume and hair. So you have to be around it up close and personal. It's strong. Our bench coach, Danny Lehman, cut his hair, which used to be a little bit longer, I think because he didn't want to have to compete with Glass.
Andrew, what is this atmosphere like, BP with Shohei? Have you seen anything approaching this in all your years?
I have not. Just the energy from the fans and even staff and players that are around. I mean, Josh Hamilton and Shohei Ohtani are far and away the most impressive BPs I've ever witnessed firsthand. And it is incredible to see him miss-hit balls in BP over the batter's eye.
Talking with Andrew Friedman with 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a run in for the Dodgers here in the second. As that pitch is high and tight to Jose Ramos, 3-2. All right, this is dangerous asking you a 2-strike, 2-out question. Give me a young player that's a little bit further off the radar that's excited you early in camp.
Oh, man.
Pick 2 if you want.
I guess Gavin Stone's not, but how he looked yesterday was extremely exciting. Dalton Rushing just lined out to center. Yep. Has been great. You bring young, talented players into camp, into this environment, for them to be a sponge, for them to learn, to watch what work ethic really means, because you can't really know until you see it, till you experience it. and just how much he's gone around asking questions and observing things and putting it into his own routine has really stood out.
Jose Ramos, the 9-batter here, will go down swinging at a 3-2. Thanks for sticking around for an extra half inning.
Of course.
Thanks for doing play-by-play.
Anytime.
Yeah.
ESPN will cut me a little small check.
Yeah, that's coming out of Tim's salary.
He doesn't mind.
Salary,
He doesn't mind.
Only 9 years, $700 million. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
And then our spring training schedule rolls on the first week of March. Tuesday the 5th, the Yankees and the Mets. Thursday the 7th, the Braves and the Red Sox. Both those games at 1 Eastern, ESPN and the ESPN app. An Atlanta team which has had a strangely quiet offseason despite having the best record in baseball last year. Dodgers have made all these splashy moves as Bryce Johnson bats against Gus Varland. The Braves didn't really do much, but they had locked up the core of their team in the last few years. And Eddie, you still think the Braves are the team to beat in the National League?
I do. Look, you look at that lineup of the Atlanta Braves, and it is a lethal lineup. They're the favored team in that National League East, and their pitching, starting pitching, I think right now is just a little bit better than the Dodger pitching, and that's why I give them. I think they're the favorites in the National.
So does this graphic surprise you? ESPN bet as Johnson goes down. These are the top 5 projected win totals. The Dodgers 2 ahead of the Braves.
It does not surprise me a bit, but it does not mean that they are the better team, even though with the balanced schedule. I just think that the Atlanta Braves, who play a grueling division and teams in that division, I think that's where they end up with the 101. But I would go with the over there.
Tim, how about the 3, 4, 5 here? ESPN bet says the Yankees will have the most wins in the American League, just ahead of the Astros and the Orioles. Do you think the Yankees are the best team right now in the American League?
I really like what the Yankees did, but to me the Orioles are still the best team in the AL East, especially adding Corbin Burns, who's a Cy Young candidate every year. And if Jackson Holiday comes in, makes the club and as good as we think he could be, then that offense is going to be better also. But the Yankees are demonstrably better offensively with Juan Soto.
Oscar Mercado, the batter here, the former Padre, of course, Juan Soto. We saw Johnny Brito for 2 innings today. He was one of the 5 players sent back to San Diego in the Juan Soto deal. Expectations are Juan Soto is not going to sign an extension. He'll be with the Yankees for 1 year, test free agency, but what a year it could be with Soto and Aaron Judge in some order in the Yankee lineup and patrolling spots in the Yankee outfield.
100%, Tim.
Eduardo, how would you hit him? Soto 2, Judge 3, or the other way around?
I'd make sure that both guys are in that lineup in that first inning.
Right.
Create damage early. I would actually have Aaron Judge hit second and Juan Soto hit third.
Who hits leadoff?
With the New York Yankees, wow.
They've got options. Anthony Volpe could hit leadoff because he can run. DJ LeMahieu, certainly. They have some options, but and Eddie, you would hit Judge 2, Soto 3. The thinking there is what?
I don't care about righty lefties with both guys, and I know that sometimes it makes sense if you hit them right left, but in my case right here, a lot of the protection comes from guys in front of you, and Aaron Judge gets on base a lot. So does Juan Soto. But I do believe, because both guys have high on base percentages, it would play well.
Up and in. That got the left hand of Mercado, former big leaguer with Cleveland, Philly, and St. Louis, and he is drilled in his first plate appearance of the spring.
That's a tough one early on in spring. Hopefully he's okay, but I just like Aaron Judge in the 2 spot. I've always liked him in the 2 spot. I like Juan Soto, how patient he can be with runners on base. I am not concerned about Aaron Judge not being able to drive in more runs. I think still he will be able to have those opportunities. And the guy that I think is the interesting person here is Giancarlo Stanton. Terrible year last year, but he made a difference this offseason by losing a lot of weight, becoming a little bit more flexible. And I think if he stays healthy, when he gets hot, this is an opportunity for Giancarlo Stanton to revamp himself as a premier designated hitter.
So check on Mercado after getting hit in the left hand. Mike Schilt, member of the Padres training staff, are out. And Giancarlo Stanton, 101 games last year, hit 191. His OPS was 695. By far the worst year of his 14 in the big leagues. Mason McCoy batting ninth for the Padres today, and a half swing at that pitch from Gus Varland. Dodger righty who was a Rule 5 pick by the Brewers last year, had an 11.42 ERA, had a couple of blow-up outings, was sent back to the Dodgers and ended up getting a bit of time in the majors near the end of the year. Not expecting to see a ton of big Dodger arms today. We did see two significant arms in live batting practice. As McCoy slaps one the other way for a base hit out of the 9th spot. San Diego's first hit of the afternoon moves Mercado to second.
Yeah, James Paxton threw today, and he's going to be one of their 5 starters, barring change, to open the season. And Blake Trinan threw today, too. Remember, he's pitched like 5 innings since 2021. Basically missed 2 years, but he's 35. His arm is really good again. And Eduardo, you know how good his stuff is when he's right.
And today we saw him. We were behind there in the backstop watching him throw. That two-seamer was working really well for him, and the slider as well. So it's early in spring. The biggest thing for the veteran guys is to get out of camp healthy. Don't look at the numbers so much, but get out of camp healthy and be able to help your team early in the season and throughout.
Tyler Wade led off the game with a strikeout against Landon Knack, who went 2 scoreless. Wade puts one in the air to left field. Miguel Vargas has the second out. The Dodgers rotation now will probably look a whole lot different than the Dodgers rotation in October. There are question marks now. There are question marks later. You know, Yamamoto and Glasnow are slated to be 1-2. James Paxton, oft-injured lefty, in the mix as well. Bobby Miller impressed last year. Emmett Sheehan in the mix to get one of those spots. When will we see any of these 4 this year? Walker Buehler should be the first. We won't see Shohei Ohtani on the mound this season. That's coming next year. You have the Clayton Kershaw factor later in the year. Will we see Dustin May later in the year? There are big questions. There's big talent for the Dodgers, and Dave Roberts told us basically just going to take it day by day and piece by piece.
I mean, imagine having a fresh Buehler, Kershaw, Gonsolin, and May joining the team. They'll be there before in August, let's say, to go with the top of the rotation now. That could be an exceptional starting rotation come October.
Tim, I thought what stood out for me was earlier I went into that clubhouse, right? And I was able to just observe, and I've been in a lot of clubhouses, so have you guys. But this one's just felt a little bit different. You had so many superstars there, but they are very selfless superstars. And I think that plays, and it's going to play a major part in the success of who the LA Dodgers are going to be. I had a conversation with a few of the guys. One of them in particular was James Paxton, who's played for the Yankees, who's played for the Red Sox, and now is in another big market as well. And he's like, I agree completely with you. Just look around. Nothing bad with the other ones, but this one right here, it screams special.
And the right from Cal Mitchell. That's in front of Jose Ramos for a base hit. And the San Diego native Cal Mitchell, trying to make his hometown team, brings home the first Padres run, scoring Mercado from second to get San Diego on the board.
Yeah, Eddie, to complete it, it's a very energetic clubhouse because there's a ping pong game going on in there every day. Blake Trinan's pretty good. Brusdar Graterol is one of the best ping pong players I've ever seen.
I actually saw him today, and it looked a lot like that swing right there. Right down the middle, and he placed it with a good topspin for a base hit to be able to get it on the table and drive in a run and move the other one to third.
Graterol plays ping pong left-handed and right-handed.
Really?
Pretty impressive.
Which way is he better?
I think it's about even.
He tips from the left side, Tim.
J.J. Hardy used to be the greatest ping pong player in the major leagues, and he actually lost once. And 10 minutes later in spring training, Ryan Braun sent him a text and said, "I heard you lost today in ping pong." And JJ told me, he said, "News travels quickly when I lose in ping pong."
Do you know who beat him?
Yes, I'm going to get this in just a second.
Okay.
It's a pitcher. I'm going to get it.
Can't help you there, Tim.
This is like one of those websites that's buffering. The Kirkton brain is at 45%, 52%.
We just lost the signal.
60.
Got it on the top of my head. Now I can't concentrate on the game till I get it right.
Oh, well, there are 2 strikes and 2 outs. Graham Pauley. We'll see if Gus Varland can give you an inning break reprieve. And that ball low to Pauley. Left-handed hitter with power. San Diego lost 14-1 yesterday. They're looking to put out their first crooked number of the spring in their 12th inning. Former Duke Blue Devil Pauley.
I think we lost Tim.
This is driving me crazy. Biggest problem in my life. I have to go to a corner and not say a word until I can finish.
That's the reason why you're always in a 3-person booth. It's so in case we just lose you, there's a backup.
This happens to me at parties. I'll go in there and some total stranger will say 15 guys with 4 letters or fewer in their last name have hit 40 homers in a season. And I can't leave until I get them right. And it takes me all night.
All right, Mel Ott,
Yeah.
Babe Ruth, Jimmy Fox, Willie Mays.
Sammy Sosa.
Is there an Alou in there?
Adam Dunn,
Nope.
Nolu, Derek Lee,
Nelson Cruz.
Nelson Cruz. Way to go, Kevin. You're all over it.
Carlos Lee never got 40, did he?
No, only Derek.
Bill Spaceman Lee.
No.
Into right from Pauley. We'll see if Tim could think of it.
And when I got Wally Post at 1 o'clock in the morning, it was the greatest night of my entire life.
Clayton Kershaw's coming up. We'll see if he knows the answer to this question. Future Hall of Famer, World Series champion Clayton Kershaw back with the Dodgers this season, and we're honored to have Clayton zooming in with us during this spring training game. Clayton, where are you joining us from today?
I'm back home, guys. I'm in Dallas, just watching the game on TV, actually, just like everybody else. So it's a weird feeling for me, but I'm excited to get out there soon.
We're excited to have you. We can't wait to see you soon, as there's a ground ball to third from Miguel Rojas. When are you aiming to come back, Clayton? I know that's the million-dollar question on everybody's mind.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go to spring training here in a week or so and kind of meet up with the guys and, just kind of get to be a part of spring training, which I'm looking forward to. But as far as timeline, I think everything's going great right now. We're just at the 4-month mark from surgery, and I don't really know the exact timeline, but potentially like July, August is kind of what I'm shooting for.
Clayton, your teammate Freddie Freeman's at the plate here. You bring back a whole lot of stars on this team. You add Shohei Ohtani, you add Yoshinobu Yamamoto. What's this offseason been like from your perspective, watching all of the additions that your team's made?
Yeah, Freddie looks rusty, huh, with that first pitch swing in the first inning. He looks like he really needs some more spring training bats. No, it's been fun to watch this offseason. Obviously, the Dodgers have been super active and got some players out there. Freddie got out. Weird. And then, I think more than anything, though, just the way it is around baseball right now, like, why not put your foot to the gas? With so many teams kind of not stepping into the free agent market, the way the Dodgers are doing this is exciting for us, and we're excited to make a run at this thing, which is what you just want a chance, and that's what we're getting, a pretty good chance with this group right now.
Freddie Freeman to ground up. By the way, Matt Waldron, a knuckleballer, is in the game right now for San Diego as Will Smith pops his pitch up. We might have a tidy 5-pitch inning here, which means, can we ask you to stick around for another half inning?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. Only 5 pitches, not enough for Clayton Kershaw. We'll be back with you in the 4th. Gonzalez Clayton Kershaw still with us. Here's Clayton on the left at age 20 in Dodger Spring Training 2008. There's the team photo 15 years later, a season ago at age 35. 20-year-old Clayton Kershaw. Do you remember, Clayton, what number you wore in spring training at age 20?
Yeah, I think it was 96. So yeah, not my favorite number.
You are right on.
Yeah.
Clayton, we know you're a historically great ping pong player also. Have you played Brewster Gratterall at all? Because I saw him this spring. He is tremendous.
Yeah, I played bazooka a few times. The crazy thing about him is he plays kind of left and right-handed, and so he kind of doesn't really have a back. He kind of uses both hands, which is pretty impressive. But I think I can get him. I think I can still get him.
Clayton, really quick, because I'm really interested in. Yeah, I know. That's why I stopped for a second, but this one's going to stay in the ballpark. Any of your 4 kids, are any of them lefties?
Yeah, my third of 4, Cooper. He's my 4-year-old, and he's left-handed, and we're just starting up a little bit of T-ball, so it's been pretty fun. I'm excited to get him going with it, but yeah, I got 1 out of 4 lefties, so that's kind of fun.
There we go.
Nabil Crismat in the game for the Dodgers right now. Clint, I know that was the first major surgery of your career in November to repair the ligaments in your left shoulder. How does your shoulder feel right now as you prepare for year 17?
Yeah, I think it feels good. I think I never had surgery like you said, so I'm 4 months out right now. Honestly, just didn't really know what to expect in the process. But I think overall it's need to get better. I started throwing about a month ago, and from week 1 to week 4, it feels a lot better. So, it's not perfect, obviously. I got some time, but, I think hopefully it gives me, as long as I want to keep playing, my shoulder, give me a couple more years out of it would be awesome.
Robert Perez to second base. We had a 5-pitch inning. Now we have another 5-pitch inning.
Wow.
Clayton,
all right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Forever, the quickest game in big league history. Thanks for coming on. I know you've had a few of those innings when you've been on the mound, Clayton. We appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Professional Fight League Super Fights card. The PFL champions against the Bellator champions. Saturday afternoon, 3 Eastern, 1 Mountain. The prelims begin at noon Eastern on ESPN News and ESPN Plus in English and Spanish. Make cards on pay-per-view. To order, go to ESPN.com/ESPN Plus. All right, we didn't really get a chance to dive into it because we had Clayton Kershaw on for an inning, which we truly appreciate. Padres have a pitcher who throws a knuckleball on the mound. That's Matt Waldron, and that's not a knuckleball, which makes Matt Waldron interesting. Mike Schultz said we don't want to label him a knuckleball pitcher, but he's got an outlier pitch in the knuckleball, which makes him, Tim, kind of a unicorn in the game right now.
Absolutely. And I spoke the other day to Charlie Huff, one of the great knuckleball pitchers ever, still works for the Dodgers. I said, did anyone here throw one? Are you working with anyone? He goes, people just don't have time anymore to develop the knuckleball, which is really a shame because it's arguably the most unhittable pitch when it's thrown properly. Paul Richards told me Hoyt Wilhelm's knuckleball was the greatest, hardest pitch to hit in baseball history.
Here's how strange Waldron is. Usually if somebody throws a knuckleball, they throw a knuckleball basically every pitch. Waldron threw 5 pitches last year. The knuckleball was his most thrown at 27% of the time. That's it. So he got 2 fastballs, a slider, a cutter, and a knuckleball.
Eddie, the best knuckleball you ever saw was?
The late Tim Wakefield. For me, it was not only that, it's that we saw the knuckleball, but he would throw the curveball. And he opened you up with the curveball as well. He'll throw you the fastball in, and he'll try to sneak that fastball. But the knuckleball, when it was dancing, it was lethal.
You know who didn't throw a knuckleball was Jason Hamill, but he is the guy that beat J.J. Hardy.
Really?
So now I can concentrate on the game because I figured that out.
Wow, Jason Hamill gets his just desserts. Muncy to the left side, and that's a pretty vacant area for Max Muncy to get his first hit of the spring.
Muncy, 36 homers, 105 RBIs last year. He'll hit fourth at times this year, but he might hit fifth. He might even hit sixth. 36 and 105, and sixth in the order. Just speaks to the depth of this lineup.
Here's a player they've brought in to add some depth, Manuel Margot. Such depth in the lineup, real depth that we'll see in the pitching staff, including Clayton Kershaw at some point in the year as Margot skips one to third. It is a 5-4-3 double play. Let's continue that Clayton Kershaw conversation. Go back down to Alden.
Yeah, and guys, one thing that I think is worth noting here, something that Clayton Kershaw told us earlier this spring, and something that he's been consistent about in the latter half of his career, is that he's never going to be that guy who just comes back to hang around. If he's coming back, it's because he thinks he could be effective. He could be the Clayton Kershaw that we've always known. He said, I'm not coming back just to be average.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw easily could have decided, I've had one of the great careers in modern history. Enough is enough, but not coming back to be average indeed. He wants to be a part of this team down the stretch, and hope that for him is that the shoulder, as he said, feels good enough maybe to pitch a couple more years.
His lowest ERA of any pitcher that many innings in the live ball era. It's a long time.
It's a ground ball from Miguel Vargas. That is well placed, and Vargas has a double that he hustled out off the glove of the shortstop Wade, and then an infield single.
Yeah, sometimes you want to save those for the season, right? Those are the ones that keep you afloat. But Miguel Vargas trying to impress here in camp and playing a new position out in the outfield, learning that as well, and has looked good so far this camp. So he's 2 for 2 today. But adding on, and you watch this right here, as a hitter, you see this coming. You're like, okay, third baseman's back. I have a chance. Get that base hit. He's added some weight, some strength as well, and they're hoping he can put it to use during the season.
It's going to be an interesting outfield for the Dodgers. Jason Hayward and Margot are probably going to platoon in right field. James Outman's going to be the primary center fielder, play against some left-handers, and then you got Teoscar Hernandez, who will play left field and right field, and you got Chris Taylor. So there's going to be a lot of mixing and matching in that outfield this year, which you can do when you have a second baseman that hits like Mookie Betts and a catcher that hits like Will Smith.
Chris Owings, the batter here, with a single his first time up. We asked Dave Roberts about that outfield before the game and about where he thought Chris Taylor would play, and he says, look, I need to get Chris 450 at bats. He's going to play. He's going to factor into the infield to the outfield, and that raises a question for the guy on first base, Miguel Vargas. Where does he break in after a tough year last season, but off to a very good start in spring? He takes a huge lead as Owings bounces one to third. Double play ground out and a regular old ground out. Matt Waldron featuring the knuckleball occasionally with 2 scoreless innings. Plus spring training games and every out-of-market game live or on demand. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. There is more than one Major League Baseball game happening today. It is day 2 of spring training. Yesterday we were the only show in town with the Dodgers and the Padres. The White Sox and Cubs are playing today. The Royals, Rangers, Diamondbacks and Rockies. Of course, the great rivalry that is the Red Sox and the Northeastern Huskies today. The Red Sox beating Northeastern 7-2. And the Twins will play the Minnesota Golden Gophers in an all Land of a Thousand Lakes battle coming up later today.
Eduardo, did you ever play in one of those games, collegiate team against a major league team, either side?
Yes, I did. When I was with the Angels, it was Cal State Fullerton.
Right.
That actually played against the then California Angels. And a manager for the Oakland Athletics was on the Cal State Fullerton team.
Mark Kotze was on Cal State Fullerton?
Yes.
In the left from Bryce Johnson. There's Vargas, the new left fielder. looking the part in his spring debut.
I'll tell you, if you want to make an impression with the Dodgers, he's already gone to his left for a fly ball, and this one right here coming on in. Beautifully done. It's easier to come in if you're a former infielder turned outfielder. And Miguel Vargas, nice slide, nice play. Already 2 for 2 in the game, both defensively and offensively.
But Dave Roberts was practically glowing when we asked him about Vargas before the game. He's got a couple of hits. He's hustled them out, and you see why in the outfield. Coming off of a really tough year, an injury-plagued year. Let's take another look at this great catch.
Watch mouth open, coming on in strong and keeping the balance.
Eddie, explain the mouth open again, please.
Okay, so I was explained by Jimmy Edmonds and Eddie Rodriguez when I was with the then California Angels that when you run in the outfield for any fly ball, run with your mouth open because it actually impedes you from actually the ball bouncing, giving you that illusion of bouncing in the air as you're running. A lot of people say run on your toes, but if you run also with mouth open, and a lot of great outfielders do it without even knowing that they're doing it, and it's helped. So a little tidbit for all you youngsters out there, that if you're in the outfield and you do not have a good jump or you think that you can't see the ball well, watch the mouth open as he's running towards the baseball. Heard that one before, KB?
First time, no. If I had my mouth open in the outfield, I was going, oh no, it's so far over my head. It was not intentional.
Jim Edmonds would know. He's a pretty darn good center fielder in his day.
By the way, Tanner Dodson is on the mound, so we got Dodson here for the Dodgers. Third pitcher for Los Angeles.
And whenever I played the outfield, I thought he was the best center fielder because he would let you know even before the pitch was thrown, come on in, depending on the location of the pitch, or take a step back or go to your right or left before the pitch was even thrown. Quarterbacking the outfielders.
Mercado on a 3-2 up into the netting. Oscar Mercado, good to see him still in the game after being hit in the left hand by a pitch. His first plate appearance of the spring. In the outfield mix, a non-roster invitee. He's trying to make the team. Has had big league time with 3 different clubs. What do you expect AJ Preller to do here in the month or so before the season starts?
Well, I've told you he never sleeps. He plays basketball at 6 o'clock every morning. He's nonstop on everything, and I expect him to do something before the season begins. And with those 4 big free agents out there, I can't imagine the Padres not being at least going after one of them. I don't think they're done, and Alden agrees with me on that.
Are you speaking for Alden right now?
Yes, he has told me that multiple times this spring. I trust him.
Well, the thing is, you look at their lineup right now, and they have one established left-handed hitter in that lineup projected right now, and that's Jay Cronenworth. Also, Jurickson Profar is a switch-hitting hitter, but they need another left-handed bat. They need to find a corner outfielder if they can, especially in left field, to see what they can do, if it's be a trade or even checking out the market.
It's a 12th pitch of the at-bat, fouled away by Mercado. We don't know if the Padres are going to get one of these big 4, but these are the big 4 left on the board. The Boris 4, as they've come to be known. Blake Snell, of course, was a Padre last year, winning the National League Cy Young. Another one fouled away by Mercado.
And of course, Snell had a fabulous year last year, but Kevin, it still amazes me. He's won 2 Cy Youngs in his career, and he's never completed a game. This is how it works in baseball in the mid-2020s.
Alden, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I mean, reports all offseason have been that the Padres are trying to get their payroll to maybe 180, 190 million. They're projected for about $150 million for opening day. There's wiggle room there. They have 2 outfielders on their 40-man roster. That's not going to continue. They're going to add another outfielder at some point. They could stand to add another first base / DH type. And I would still watch for starting pitching here because they did add a lot of arms in that Juan Soto trade, but it's a lot of guys who haven't basically taken down a full season workload in the rotation. If something makes sense there, they could pull the trigger. And as you guys know, A.J. Preller is as aggressive as any GM in baseball.
Sure is. By the way, this is going to be the 16th pitch coming to Mercado. Clayton Kershaw was with us for 10 pitches and 6 outs.
And he's pulled everything. You look at it, all the foul balls have been dead pull.
That's in the air to the other side of the field. Freddie Freeman. Sweet 16 for Tanner Dodson to get out number 2.
Eddie, did you ever have a historically long at bat in the big leagues?
No, and every time I think about historical at bats, I think of Alex Cora, right?
Right.
As a Dodger,
Right.
with that memorable at bat that he ended up with a home run. But no, Tim, I usually ended up striking out pretty quick.
I don't think so.
2 down for Mason McCoy. So yeah, the Padres wanting to slash the payroll considerably. It's down about $100 million right now. And again, there's still room for the Padres to add. Trading Juan Soto certainly cleared a lot of space. Blake Snell leaves in free agency. Josh Hader leaves in free agency. So the Padres have a precipitous payroll drop. Remember, it's been an offseason where the Padres TV deal is in flux. Of course, the tragic passing of Peter Seidler, the Padres owner and chairman, who was willing to really spend on free agents. That's the largest decrease in the majors. And then the Dodgers on the other side move up their payroll considerably from 223 to 300, and a whole lot more in deferred money that could have been added to that payroll for LA.
Right. We know about the star power they had last year, just all the diverse personalities. I was told there were too many mouths to feed with the Padres. One reason why they didn't make the playoffs and barely finished over 500.
Eddie, how does that manifest itself on like a pitch-to-pitch, at-bat-to-at-bat basis? The feeling that there are too many mouths to feed.
Look, the big issue, and a lot of people talk about.
Uh-oh, I asked you a 2-out question. We're going to have to come back to that when we return for the bottom of the 5th. We'll talk some more Padres in this 2-1 game. Green's Kirkshin Classic, personally. That's right up your alley, I think. Tim Kirk. Thing.
And Bob, actual size, great.
It's not that big, Tim.
Where's the bobblehead from?
The Frederick Keys put that one, and the big train in Bethesda, Maryland. So I actually have 2 of them. One looks like Richard Nixon. It is really bad.
Are you doing the V for victory thing with your hands on the bobblehead? No.
A lot of gray hair on a bobblehead.
Did your
I thought that
bobblehead
was
destroy the
unnecessary.
tapes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Angel De Los Santos is the new San Diego pitcher at a 2-1 game. Dalton Rushing, one of the Dodgers' exciting young hitters, batting is the DH. All right, so we were talking about the Padres before break, Eddie. So there's a lot of thoughts that the Padres clubhouse was not in a great place last year. They have a new manager, Mike Schilt. Still a ton of talent, right? Still have so much talent on the field. So I wonder, how can a clubhouse that's not together impact you on an individual basis, on an at-bat to an at-bat basis, on a pitch-to-pitch basis? How does that lead into the game?
Look, I remember in the Otesaga Hotel in Cooperstown, New York, Sparky Anderson, the year he was getting inducted, he slapped me in the face twice, and he said, look, if you ever manage, you make sure that your players want to get to the ballpark. Meaning, make sure that they are willing to leave their family at home or bring their kids to the ballpark, but at the same time work and play the job. And I believe that a lot of the Padres last year, and a lot of teams that are sometimes dysfunctional, don't want to leave the house and get to the ballpark. And then that's when you don't meet standards. That's when you don't exceed expectations on the field. And that's what happened last year with the San Diego Padres. There was a lot of issues with players in that clubhouse and a lot of communication issues, and they're hoping that now they've been fixed moving forward to see how they can turn this thing around from the disappointed season of not making the postseason.
So does that bleed into to daily routines, to how you prepare, that sort of stuff, batting camp?
I think it starts in spring training. I think it starts with the leaders of the team. And the leaders of the team are not only the coaches and they're not only the manager, it's not only the front office, but the players themselves. You hear a lot of times people say, well, they have to police themselves. But it all starts with the star players. Are they willing to be like when we talked about earlier that James Paxton said, look, this is a selfless team with the Dodgers. Are they going to be selfless with each other in San Diego? Are they going to back each other up? If it's running the bases hard the entire time, if it's being able to hustle after a ball, backing up a teammate, protecting a teammate, giving their at-bat up. All those things play. All those little, it's not just being vocal. It's also being able to do it with the bat, the glove, and in and out of uniform.
And that may be where you get to 9-23 in one-run games, 2-12 in extra inning games, as the Padres were last year.
Kevin, I spent a lot of time around the Rangers in the postseason last year, and trust me, the 26th guy on that team was treated the same way as Corey Seager, who was the best player in the team.
That's not easy to do, Tim.
And you're absolutely right, but that's what Bruce Bochy and Chris Young did, and pretty much, well, didn't happen the same way in San Diego. Let's put it that way.
You know, one of the words that timing violation.
It's our first pitcher timing violation of the spring.
One of the things that drives me nuts is when I hear the word culture. Oh, they don't have a good culture. What is culture? It all depends on the teams. It all depends on the personnel. That's all different.
So it was an automatic ball. Then on a 3-2, Ramos shoots one through the right side. The 23-year-old Jose Ramos has the 6th Dodger hit.
Eddie, when you're a young guy in spring training, you get a knock here and there, you get a big hit, and this might be the first time you're going to play in an exhibition game, something like this. How big a deal is that?
It's a huge deal, especially, and when I got called up to the big leagues, I had not been in a big league spring training before. So the next year I get to big leagues, and you have the big leaguers sometimes hitting behind you. In this case, it's Miguel Rojas after Ramos, and you have Freddie Freeman on deck. That's all big. That's all huge right there. And to be able to get a hit, a meaningful hit, to maybe score a run if Freddie Freeman hits a gapper or Miguel Rojas hits a gapper, you go to sleep pretty well at night.
Freddie Freeman on deck with Miguel Rojas nearly having been drilled by the pitch from De Los Santos. So right-hander who will be in the Padres opening day bullpen, assuming good health. Turned 28 this offseason. Last 2 years with the Cleveland Guardians at a 3.18 ERA, pitching in 120 games. He's traded for right-hander Scott Barlow in a reliever for reliever swap this offseason.
And Miguel Rojas at the plate here, an elite defensive shortstop. And even though Gavin Lux is scheduled to be their everyday shortstop, if anything were to go wrong, if the knee didn't come around properly, they have a guy that can really play the position defensively. They also have Chris Taylor, so there's some options.
Quick one first from De Los Santos. Ramos is in. That scenario was, of course, the case last year when Gavin Lux got hurt. Torn ACL in spring training. Rojas ended up playing a lot more than expected. 124 games, 423 plate appearances. The other way from Rojas. That ball tracing away from the center fielder Johnson. It's in for a base hit. And Ramos takes third on the play. So it's Freddie Freeman's last at-bat in his spring training debut. His first at-bat looked like a whole lot of Freddie Freeman at-bats we've come to see over the years.
Why take a pitch, right? Drive it exactly where he practices the entire offseason and pregame, left center field. As Clayton Kershaw said, that's usual status quo of Freddie Freeman on top of his game.
I asked Chipper Jones many years ago, who's going to replace you as the lead guy on this team? And he looked at me and goes, have you seen Freddie Freeman swing the bat? Freddie Freeman just got there. He could recognize right away the way he used the entire field.
He's ranked since joining the Dodgers as good as it gets in the majors. The last 6 seasons, Freddie Freeman has been an All-Star 5 times. The only season he wasn't an All-Star was the season they didn't have an All-Star game in 2020, the shortened season. Of course, that year he was the MVP. He's finished 4th and 3rd his 2 years with LA.
And 59 doubles last year. Last time anyone got 60 doubles in a season was 1936. Charlie Gehringer and Ducky Medwick. 59 two-baggers, pretty darn good.
Anytime you can be in the same sentence as Ducky Medwick, you're having yourself a year. On a 2-0, Freddie will take a strike.
Mid-season form, 2-0 breaking pitch right there. Freddie Freeman, great take. He knows De Los Santos is looking for that ground ball double play, and he is trying to make sure to drive in that run from third base and stay away from the double play. See who wins this battle.
A really underrated part of Freddie Freeman's game is what a great base runner he is. Eddie, I love those guys, the Scott Rowlands of the world, who weren't the fastest guy in the field, but really had an understanding. And again, Kevin, another great instinctive base runner, Eduardo Perez.
Okay, beautiful. I love that he threw over to first here because we can explain this. You and I, KB, you and I were in the backfields watching Shohei and the group take live BP, but it was Mookie Betts that was running the bases. They were Outman, then followed Mookie Betts. This is what the leaders do, and that's what great chemistry and culture looks like.
Freeman, that's what a great swing looks like. In the air to right field, not going to have quite enough, but it will get the run in as Freddie Freeman scores Jose Ramos. 2 RBIs for Freddie Freeman in his spring training debut, and the Dodgers lead is back to 2.
And this is why we end up having the Dodgers as the odds-on favorite, right? Because they do all the little things right during the season. I still think the Braves are up there with them, but the top 3 in the order are going to score and drive in a lot of runs this season for LA.
And that's a perfect example, Eddie. You get a ball up in the air and get the guy in. Will Smith at the plate right now led the league in sacrifice flies last year with 12. Those things add up eventually. That's how you score a ton of runs like they did last year.
Will Smith, a 6th-year Dodger, career OPS of 840.
Kevin, look how short his arms are. Some of the great hitters of all time have really short, powerful arms. Bill Madlock, not the greatest hitters of all time, but Josh Willingham, Sean Casey, Rubio Durazo. Eddie, what do short, strong arms have to do with making you a better hitter?
Well, you mentioned Durazo. It keeps you, one, short to the ball. It's quick to find barrel. Less mistake you can make, especially if you have great hand-eye coordination like he does. But you go back to Freddie's at-bat. You go back to Will Smith's at-bat. Both of them choking up on the bat. You don't have to have 2 strikes. They do it early. Right now it's a 1-2 count, but he's looking where he's at because he wants to be able to find barrel. And the great hitters in the past have been able to do that.
Smith not able to hold up there. De Los Santos ends the inning with a strikeout, but we got to see a couple of Freddie Freeman RBIs today. Hoping to have Freddie Freeman join us after his 2 RBI day. Suit up this season at MLBShop.com. The largest selection of official jerseys, caps, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. Gear up with your favorite team at MLBShop.com. Get a Freddie Freeman jersey while you're at it. The real thing is down with Alden.
Hey, Freddie, you've done a lot of things throughout your career. Have you ever hit a home run in your first swing of spring training?
I think that might be a first. Yeah, I was just trying to get a strike and put a good swing on it, and thankfully it did that.
Freddie, there's been a lot of intrigue about how the lineup will form when the season begins. How are we feeling about that number 2 spot between Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani right now?
Yeah, we still have those conversations. I think Shohei's got a game coming up in a few days, so I think the world will know what the lineup's going to look like at the beginning of the year in a couple days.
Now, Freddie, earlier today you were in the backfields taking some swings. There must have been hundreds of people behind the backstop just watching live BP. What have you thought of just all the attention that has surrounded this team in the early parts of spring training?
Yeah, it's awesome. When you have that kind of intrigue and excitement, it means usually something good happened in the off season. Our fans have been coming out since day one of spring training. It's been fun. We got a lot of new guys on our team that have created a lot of excitement for us. So we're really looking forward to this year.
The big new guy, Shohei Ohtani. What have you learned about him in your short time with him? What has struck you about him?
Yeah, it's everything he's doing. It's it's for a reason. You know, it's everything, every single swing, every single sprint he does when people aren't watching. There's so much work that's going on after the cameras are gone. That's pretty impressive. I know he's rehabbing and getting his arm back, but it's just fun to watch someone who arguably is the best player in the world. So it's fun to get to watch him up close and, you know, get to be a teammate of his for a long time.
Freddie, thank you so much, guys. Back to you.
Alvin, thank you. That's a ground ball from Tyler Robertson, the pinch hitter, off of the glove of the new Dodger shortstop Trey Sweeney after a base hit for Jacob Marcy. It almost feels like everybody in the Dodgers organization got together before the year and said, when we're asked about Shohei Ohtani, we're going to talk about how intentional his every swing, his every move, his every breath is. I don't think that was the case, but everybody keeps bringing that up.
I wonder, and the thing is, we put a stat up of Freddie Freeman and the numbers the last 2 years of where he ranks in the top when it comes to hits and average and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of people would argue, you know, is Shohei Ohtani, everybody talks, is he the best or is he the most complete baseball player? Because, you know, as a baseball player, you can play the pitching, you can do the pitching, you can do it extraordinarily well. You can hit with so much power and do it to catch everybody's attention. As complete as a player I've ever seen is Shohei Ohtani. But is he the best? But complete, I'm not arguing that one bit.
Okay, well, here's a ground ball to shortstop again. This time Sweeney will get the out at first. All right, let's get some evidence here, statistical evidence. We'll go to our StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Stat of the day, Shohei Ohtani hits the ball for average, hits the ball for power. Second in the majors last year in barrels per batted ball, only behind Aaron Judge. So take me through that a bit. Most complete versus best, and how you evaluate who is the best guy in the game.
Because he can run, right? I mean, he can steal bases as well. He's a complete package. And oh, by the way, he has a nasty split. He throws 100 miles per hour. That's as complete as you want. You have great players out there right now. Ronald Acuna Jr., great player. You have Mookie Betts, great player. Freddie Freeman, great player. And I love the fact that even Freddie Freeman says he's the best player out there, and rightfully so. I'm not arguing that he's not. I'm just saying I marvel at what Shohei Ohtani can do on an everyday basis, and you never know what you're going to see. I remember seeing in the World Baseball Classic Shohei Ohtani facing Mike Trout, and you couldn't write it up any better, but it was awesome to watch, and I was watching it right next to my dad, and we were both marveling how great he was in that situation.
Chris Taylor told me yesterday, he said, getting a good look at Ohtani, he's got even more raw power than I thought he had, and he had played against him for years. But he said he works on that. Everything he does, as Andrew Friedman told us today, there's a purpose to everything that the guy does.
T.J. McFarland, the veteran lefty, meanwhile with a strikeout of Nathan Martorella. And so 2 on, now 2 out for San Diego. Infield single officially in E6. A ground out and a strikeout. T.J. McFarland, the well-traveled lefty, former Oriole, Diamondback, Athletic, Cardinal, and Met, who has thrown in parts of 11 years in the big leagues. This is Marcos Castañón wearing number 97 and taking low.
And you look at T.J. McFarland on the mound, and the phrase and the line that comes as soon as you get back in the dugout is he hides the ball really well. It's hard for you to see his arm until he releases it. keeps it hidden behind that glove and then behind the body, and the ball sneaks up on you.
What would you try to pick up here as a hitter?
You have to be able to look at where his arm slot is releasing from and time it with his body, and it's tough to do because you're not trained to do that.
McFarland is going to give way to his catcher here on the pop-up. Didn't want any part of that. So McFarland, a couple of runners on, gets out of it. Of the offseason, yes, he revealed the dog's name at his introductory press conference. His dog, in Japanese, Dekopin, Dekopin, which means to flip one's forehead in Japanese. So Ohtani said, I figured it'd be hard for American people to pronounce the Japanese name, so the American name is Decoy. Even the dog was a sensation for Shohei Ohtani this offseason. Tommy Nance, the new pitcher against Trey Sweeney. We've seen crazy free agent sweepstakes, and we said yesterday we'd never seen anything like all of the fake news that Ohtani was flying to Toronto and that people were making sushi reservations for him, and then the dog gets involved. I know you keep saying, Tim, what a circus this has been, but is there anything in all your years covering this game that comes close to the frenzy we saw with Shohei Ohtani?
I haven't seen this. I mean, the evil empire of the Yankees when they had this huge payroll and these stars everywhere, that was pretty close. But I know I've never seen anything quite like I've seen this spring here in Glendale. And it's great for the game because people love this. Watching this team and the excitement this team brings, win or lose, is good for the game, I think.
Expectations would certainly be World Series or bust for Dave Roberts in year 9. Trey Sweeney, base hit through the left side for Sweeney, the young Dodger infielder, getting his first at-bat of the game for Max Muncy. There was a private plane flying from Southern California to Toronto the day before Shohei Ohtani signed. It was not Shohei Ohtani's. It was Robert Herjavec's of Shark Tank. Some guys on Twitter were tracking the flights. It turned out it was Robert. And for those reasons, Shohei Ohtani was out. It couldn't get any weirder, you figure, until people start posting pictures in the airport that it's the dude from Shark Tank on the plane. The only way it could have gotten any weirder would have been if Kevin O'Leary had also walked off the plane and thrown money into the air. Just everywhere you looked, there was a new layer of absurdity to the onion that was the Ohtani saga, and it ends with him with the Dodgers. Even the contract is absurd. 10 years, $700 million is absurd. And it gets more absurd when you consider Shohei Ohtani will be making $2 million a year for these 10, and then $68 million a year for the 10 after that. That ball toward the middle, that will land on a hop and be fielded at second for a double play off the bat of Manuel Margot. So is that good for the game, guys? Is it good for the game that a team, in order to get under luxury tax thresholds, can defer $680 million of a contract?
Well, walking around this complex and seeing the fans and the anticipation, I would say yes to a certain standpoint. And I think, look, you have to be able to get creative, and you have to have players that are willing to want to win and be able to sacrifice some of that money up front for the purpose of winning. But I'll tell you right now, they are making it back, and that's the organization in a major way with the talent of Shohei Ohtani.
Let's check in back with Alden on this.
Yeah, guys, an important clarification here, too. For as great a deal as this probably is for the Dodgers, the CBT number with this contract, meaning the number that they have to allocate that determines where they are compared to the luxury tax threshold, is still 46-point-something million dollars. It's the highest CBT number in baseball. So even though his yearly salary is $2 million, he counts about $46 million towards their luxury tax.
It's a great point, because that does impact where they will fit under certain tax thresholds and pay certain financial penalties. Tim, you think this is a loophole the Dodgers have exploited, or is this just good business?
Yes, it's a legal loophole and good for them for figuring that out. However, I think we need to take a longer look at that now and see if this is good for the game that a team, even though it's legal what they did, is allowed to do something like that.
It's far from the only deferred salary that the Dodgers have as well. By the way, they deferred part of Teoscar Hernandez's salary. They deferred salaries for other players on the roster. Miguel Vargas into right field, and Vargas retired for the first time today. So Shohei Ohtani's Dodgers down in order because of the double play in the 6th.
Cal, I know you brought some pitchers over here with you in that trade, but you basically had to get used to an entirely new pitching staff here for maybe the first time in your career. What's that process been like for you, especially in these early parts of spring training?
It's been good. I think it's been helped a lot by the staff. I mean, Ruben and Fritzy, they run a really tight ship around here, and they're really good at relaying all the strengths and weaknesses and whatever we need to know as catchers about how our guys like to pitch. So it's been really good, and we have all the resources we need to do that.
So one of those news guys was Johnny Brito, who took them out today. This was not an easy assignment. What do you think about how he did, and what can fans expect from Johnny Brito, somebody you've seen a little bit at least?
I think he was pretty good. A little rusty. There were some, certain pitches, mislocations, but overall, I mean, his stuff looked really good, and I think he's on the right track to having a successful season. I mean, I think really highly of him, so I think he's going to have a lot of success this year.
So I think it was Michael King who over the offseason noted the amount of pitchers, and you yourself coming over in that trade. He said he feels like maybe the Padres already won the Juan Soto trade. Where do you stand on that?
It remains to be seen. We gotta go out in the field and perform. So that's what matters.
And one guy I did want to ask you about is Michael King. You saw him a good amount last year. He made some strides. The Padres are counting on him to be a very important member of their rotation. Give us a little scouting report on Michael King, and what do you expect from him this year?
I mean, he's got 2 great fastballs. One of them being a bowling ball sinker, nice sweepy slider, and then the changeup. It plays. So I mean, he's got multiple different ways that he can get guys out from both sides of the plate, and that's why he's so fun to catch.
Kyle, thank you so much, guys. Back to you.
Well, to thank you, Kyle Higashioka was the longest tenured member of the Yankees organization, 15 years professionally, all with the Yankees before the trade. As Tirso Ornella strikes out against Alec Gamboa for the 2nd out of the inning. Not a big offensive threat, Tim, but he can help this pitching staff in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, and he can mentor Ethan Salas, who's on his way, 17-year-old catcher that we saw yesterday. I asked Kyle about him this spring, and he just raved at that kid's understanding of what he's doing already, even at such a young age. So he's going to be a valuable guy for them.
Kevin Plawecki, veteran catcher, batting now. Ethan is on the trip along with Jackson Merrill, the Padres' 2 top prospects. Both played yesterday. We'll see if they get an at-bat today.
And Plawecki, of course, is very much a veteran catcher in the major leagues. And he told me the other day he ran out of sneakers, so he got some sneakers from Ethan Salas, who's 17 years old. It's supposed to be the other way around.
How do you run out of sneakers at this point?
Well, he sat out a year in the big leagues last year, so maybe the supplier isn't supplying shoes quite as easily.
Eddie, you ever run out of sneakers?
I ran out of gloves in spring training one year.
Yeah?
You heard this?
I think I'm about to.
World Baseball Classic 2006. Cuba beats Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico. And I go to the El San Juan Hotel where the Cuban team was staying, and so were we. And I gave away all my gloves as I was returning to the Cleveland spring training. And when I get to spring training, they're like, "You're playing first." I was like, "Can I borrow a glove, please?"
He went to spring training without a glove.
But it was for the greater good. Greater good.
Good for you, Eddie.
Whose glove did you borrow?
Oh, man. That's a great question right now.
Well, you had to borrow from different guys.
I had to borrow
Left
from different
field,
gloves.
first base,
third base, wherever they put me.
Into center, Kevin Plawecki. The sneakerless man flies out to center and it ends a 1-2-3 inning. We're glad you found your gloves in the long run. Coming to you from our KBO Insider, a special guest when we come back. Indiana Jones style take you from Los Angeles and San Diego to Seoul, South Korea, around 6,000 miles. The Seoul Series, the Dodgers and Padres will play the first 2 games of the year there. Eddie will be on the call with Carl Ravitch and our very own Daniel Kim, KBO Insider. We're happy to have join us right now. Daniel, where are you joining us from today?
I am in Seoul, South Korea right now, 6,000, probably maybe close to 7,000 miles away from you guys since you guys are in Arizona. But it's about 7 a.m. Good morning, gentlemen. Happy to see you guys.
Good morning to you. And we're very much looking forward to hearing you and seeing you on these Seoul games in the Seoul Series. What is the anticipation going to be like specifically for these 2 teams to open the season there?
I don't know where to begin. The Korean baseball fans have been waiting for almost 30 years for this to happen. Major League Baseball never came to Korea. There haven't been a regular season game here in Korea. So this is first time fans actually get to see Major League Baseball game in person. So fans are excited. The tickets were sold out. They said within minutes, but it felt like within seconds. I was trying to log on, but I couldn't even get into the system to purchase the tickets. So we're a little bit less than a month away from the games. Excitement is building up. I don't know what Major League Baseball was thinking, making us wait all these years, but it is finally happening. Fans are excited, and we're really looking forward to it.
Daniel, I hope you know you don't need a ticket. You will have a credential to work the game. You're going to get in. No problem is my guess.
I'll make sure that Eduardo doesn't get lost in Seoul while he's here. I'll take care of him.
Well played, well played. Daniel, you said it was all sold out. How many seats does the stadium hold, and is there secondary market to these tickets in Korea? Is that allowed?
Not allowed. Very difficult, but the total capacity at Gocheok Skydome is only 16,000, which is not enough, obviously. You got to keep in mind that there will be only 2 games being played, regular season games between the Dodgers and Padres. You also have to keep in mind that most of Japan is only 2-hour flight away from Seoul. And there are several direct flights daily flights between Japan and in Korea. So I'm sure a lot of the Japanese fans want to come here, see Shohei Ohtani play for the Dodgers, and Yamamoto is most likely going to be the starter, I heard. So Japanese fans want to come here. Korean fans, they've been waiting for the series Major League Baseball go way back. We're talking about 1994 when Channel Park became first ever Korean player to play in the majors with the Dodgers. Ever since then, Major League games have been on TV every day pretty much for the last 30 years. So the wait has been too long, but it is finally happening. So the fans are definitely going to be there. The Japanese fans want to come. You guys also have to keep in mind that there is a U.S. Armed Forces presence here. There are more than 20,000 Army personnel here based in Korea. I'm sure there are a lot of Dodger fans there as well. So it's going to be an exciting couple of days here in Korea. And it's going to be packed. It's going to be so much energy inside the stadium. And I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Austin Guthrie, the batter. We're talking with Daniel Kim. How big of a deal is specifically Shohei Ohtani playing in Korea, Daniel?
Well, last time Shohei Ohtani was in Korea, he was a senior in high school back in 2012. I remember seeing him pitch in one of the international tournaments, and he's coming back. just to give you an idea, there were several reports out of Japan last week that Japanese Prime Minister Kishida might be in Korea that week, and nothing has been confirmed yet. No official announcements from the government as of right now, but there's a talk between Korean government and Japanese government that possibly Prime Minister Kishida might attend the game with President Yoon Suk-yeol of South Korea. When was the last time two heads of state attended a Major League Baseball game together? I can't remember. So it's that much of a big of a deal, not just in Korea, but Japan as well, because it is so close. So it is. It's going to be an exciting. There's so many storylines, so many Korean players. Ha-Sung Kim and Usako is part of the Padres. Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto, you mentioned. And I don't know what your plans are, Kevin, but if you come to Korea, you'll fit right in, because I remember I heard you sing before, and singing is a big part of baseball culture in Korea. Let me just put it this way. Going to a baseball game in Korea is kind of like going to a Blink-182 concert. So if you do ever make it out here, you'll fit right in, Kevin.
You have done your homework, my friend. I applaud you.
Now, will we have the singers also and the dancers on top of the dugouts, just like in the KBO?
Yeah, they're actually bringing that part of baseball culture. I spoke to the Major League Baseball Seoul office. It hasn't been finalized yet, but from what I've heard, the KBO cheerleaders and cheermasters are going to be invited. They will take part. I don't know how they're going to divide up, but one side is going to be Dodgers side, the other side is going to be Padres side, so it's going to be going back and forth. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a regular season Major League Baseball game, but there's going to be definitely a Korean baseball culture that you could kind of notice. Not just, singing, dancing, eating chicken. That's part of Korean baseball culture. So you'll definitely get to see that as part of the games.
Can't wait.
A lot of fist pumps to my right in the booth from that. Daniel, 2 outs here. So if this pitch is not going to be the third out, well, I want to ask you about Jung-Hoo Lee. 6-year contract with the Giants, was the KBO MVP 2 years ago. What can you tell fans about Jung-Hoo Lee?
Well, he was a superstar in KBO. He won the MVP as well. He's well-rounded. I think he's been preparing to play in the majors for the longest time. He'll be ready. In terms of, I think that when Ha-Sung Kim first came to the Padres, he needed a little bit of an adjustment period. He may need that as well, Jung-Hoo Lee. But I expect him to have a very similar to Brandon Nimmo type of a player with the Mets. Play solid defense, get on base. I think that he may not hit a lot of home runs, but in the triples and doubles, he's got pretty good speed. So I think I expect him to have a pretty solid major league career. But I think that when he gets up to start, he may need a little bit of a time just to get adjusted to the high velocity of major league pitchers.
And then the flip side of that, Daniel, Hyunjin Ryu, former Cy Young runner-up, former Dodger. He goes back to the KBO. An 8-year deal, is that right, at age 36 for Hyunjin Ryu?
Yeah, I think he's going to be 44 by the time the contract runs out. But from speaking to a lot of some of the people that are close to him, he definitely has some deals with major league clubs. But in the end, I think he really wanted to come home. He wanted to come home when he was a little bit healthier, a little bit younger. So if he wanted to stay with it in the majors, he could have. But in the end, I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision. But he decided to come home and finish out his career with Hanwha Eagles, where everything started for him.
And you've got the Ryu jersey prominently displayed behind you as well.
Right.
After the 8-year contract, was that a late addition to the room?
I had this I had the New Jersey since this was from the All-Star game back in 2019 in Cleveland. I was lucky enough to meet him and get his autograph. But Hyunjin Ryu's major league career, I mean, there were some ups and downs. There were some injuries as well, but he was a game changer in terms of Major League Baseball's presence here in Korea. When he became a starter with the Dodgers back in 2013, Major League Baseball kind of took off, took it to another level. He may not have been a superstar. He may not have been he was an all-star just one season. But his presence, the way he pitched, the way he performed with the Dodgers and Toronto Blue Jays, he kind of put Major League Baseball back on the map here in Korea. So a lot of the fans here are extremely proud of the career that he had with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. But in the end, all the fans are extremely happy that he's coming back. And there are some other players, Channel Park, Shin-Soo Choo. But in terms of last decade or so, I think Hyunjin Ryu pretty much led the way. And you got to keep in mind that he was the first ever KBO player to make that jump. So he kind of paved the way for the players like Ha-Sung Kim and Jung-Woo Lee as well. There's no Hall of Fame in Korea right now, but if they build one, I think he would be the first one to go in it.
Ball forward to Drew Avans. We're talking with Daniel Kim with 2 on 2 out.
DK, just make sure you have the reservations set up for the restaurants in Seoul. Good ones. I cannot wait to go eat with you.
3 meals a day, right, Eduardo? 3 meals a day?
We can be flexible and go 4 if you need to. Speed up the metabolism.
Okay. Just don't worry about it, Eduardo. When you show up here, everything will be ready. I'll be your driver, guide, whatever. But in the end, like I said before, we are excited that Major League Baseball is finally coming to Korea. The fans have been waiting for it. There are so many Dodger fans and Padres fans. A lot of the older baseball fans in Korea, they follow Tommy Lasorda's Dodgers. We're talking about a lot of the older fans grew up watching Eric Carroll's, Ismael Valdez, Raul Mondesi. A lot of the younger fans are now Padres fans. They're watching, they're rooting for Ha-Sung Kim. So there are a lot of Padres fans here as well. So it's somewhat fitting that the two teams that are really popular in Korea are going to be represented here. And the fans are excited. I think it's going to be an exciting couple of days. In terms of fans' reaction to the games, I think it's going to be evenly 50-50. Some fans are going to be rooting for the Dodgers, and some fans are going to be rooting for Padres. But it's going to be a celebration of Major League Baseball. It's going to be a celebration of just baseball in general.
Will be an amazing event, worth getting up for early here in the States. DK, awesome to have you on. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for getting us so excited for the Seoul series, and we can't wait to see you there next month.
Thanks for having me on, Kevin. I'm going to be waiting for your trip, okay? And I will see you guys soon.
All right, and if I don't make it, please drag Eduardo out to a karaoke bar.
Let's go.
Left field base hit, Chris Oki. After a steal at third from Kevin Padlow, it's Oki, the reserve catcher, who makes it 4-1 Los Angeles.
How about Padlow, who yesterday hit a massive home run, then steals third, gaining a little bit of energy. That was needed as now the Dodgers take a 3-run lead, but good base hit right there, and that should be all. Mike Schilt making that trip to the mound.
Don't want to overexert anybody in spring, so Mike Schilt is going to go ahead and get Matt Festa starting here in the Cactus League in Arizona. Day 1 of spring training for a few teams. Everybody will be underway tomorrow. Notable debut, Corbin Burns will make his Oriole debut in the Grapefruit League tomorrow. And all 30 teams will have been underway and in action by tomorrow, first Saturday of the season. All getting set for March 20th with the Dodgers and Padres from Seoul. Here's a former Oriole, Logan Gillespie, who comes on for the last out of the 7th. Face Alex Freeland.
And you recognize his delivery immediately, right?
It is a unique delivery. Yeah, it's a unique guy, Logan Gillespie, who was independent ball player, undrafted free agent, was a catcher at times in indie ball. Made his way to the big leagues the last couple of years. Trying to break on in the back end of that San Diego bullpen.
Eduardo, did you see that Charlie Culberson is considering becoming a pitcher full-time?
Yes, and I had a conversation with him and everything, and look, he said, why not? Let's give it a shot.
In the air to left field, I would love to know why Charlie Culberson is considering being a pitcher. Perhaps visit the spring training complex and be around members of the Padres. Wonderful thing that San Diego is doing. These young men and women are going to meet Padres players, coaches, and staff members, get a behind-the-scenes tour of the training facility. Wonderful thing for the Padres, who are the team in San Diego and have really ingrained themselves into that community in Southern California. One of the wonderful connections that baseball can bring us. And you two have been around the game for a long time and seen what it can mean to be in baseball, what it can mean to people outside of baseball, how special this thing we all do, where a bunch of guys just hit a ball with a bat, throw it around, can make such a difference in somebody's life.
Speaking of that, Skip Schumacher, the manager of the Marlins, was 5 years old trying to get some autographs from the Dodgers many years ago, and the Star Dodgers would not sign for him. And there he is crying, waiting for an autograph to be signed, and Orel Hershiser comes by, young Orel Hershiser, and tells him, look, I'm not a star on the team, but I'm one of the Dodgers.
It's a fly ball from Clay Dungan, which is grabbed by Trey Sweeney.
So he signed Skip Schumacher, age 5's baseball glove, and Skip Schumacher wore number 55 for his entire career because that's the number that Orel Hershiser wore. So that's just one little connection that a little kid can make to a major league. You have no idea what that can mean.
Jacob Marcy, the batter here against Mitch Tyransky. Eddie, obviously you grew up around big league clubhouses because of your dad, Tony, but were there other big leaguers that made a notable impression on you as a young kid?
All of them. It was, to me, it was an impact of, it was huge. It was David Concepcion, who was influential in who I was as a kid, but all of them, they were all my uncles, from Joe Morgan to Johnny Bench, Pete Rose. I spent a lot of time at Pete Rose's house with the family, and his son was my best friend growing up, and still tight to this day. You look around and it's your extended family, and I grew up in a ballpark, so I was privileged to be able to see that. But it's not only the Reds players, it was the entire fraternity of players that came through Riverfront.
So, Kevin, as you know, Eduardo can read things like when a pitcher is tipping better than anyone.
I got an example of that today.
I'm telling the story for him, but at age 8, Pete Rose got mad at him. 13 got mad at him in the dugout one day because he was messing around and said, sit down next to me. I'm going to show you what to look for. And that ended up being a crucial day in your life, right, Eddie?
It was huge because then when I went to the batter's box, I was like, oh, wait a second. He's throwing a changeup. Throwing a fastball, and it helped me because I had an injury in A-ball, and it helped me at least be able to get the edge that I needed to stay at the major league level and be competitive at this level.
Do you sense that picking pitches is as much of an art in the game today as it was 20, 30 years ago?
I think it's a lot more difficult today than it was before because of the video, and people are always watching, and there's teams that have people and they have already the technology to be able to see if a pitcher is doing something or not. But I think it's part of the game. I think it's the cat and mouse game of the pitcher being able to hide the ball in the glove and not be able to wiggle the glove or the finger or the angle of the glove and that's why you sit in the dugout to try to help your team win a ball game one way or another.
The same Oral Hershiser told me.
Oh, we just had a pitch timer violation walk. Sorry, Tim. That's a new one for us this spring.
Hershiser told me that early on in his career, his left index finger in his glove would, he would keep it outside of his glove, and when it wiggled like this, it was a curveball.
Right.
And when it didn't wiggle, it was a fastball, and the hitters noticed it, and Oral Hershiser noticed that the hitters figured it out. So that little piece of leather that goes over your finger so you can keep it out of the glove, but it covers.
Right.
That's what Oral Hershiser said. I invented that because so they could not see my finger twitching like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to try to control it, but the pitcher is so focused on being able to hit their spot, location, and the last thing they're thinking about is what angle or how big my glove is, and it just happens. And some of the guys, it's difficult for them to be able to hide that from a hitter that's looking. Roberto Alomar, I thought, was one of the best ones
right.
of doing it. Carlos Delgado, another player. Sean Green was very good at it. Jimmy Edmonds was excellent at it. So there are those guys that still can make a difference.
That's right. Hit by pitch of Tyler Robertson. Nate Mondu will fly out to right. RC goes from second to third on out number 2. The MLB Ballpark app will complete your next visit to your favorite ballpark. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem offers, access exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today.
And the greatest Padre ever, Tony Gwynn, could see things that no one else could see. He told me once he could see Shane Reynolds' split grip in his glove. Like no one else could see that, but Tony, who had like 20/10 vision and was the most observant guy, he could see that stuff.
And Clayton Kershaw used to open his mouth to throw the ball to first base and kept it closed when he was going to pitch and throw the ball home, or vice versa, one of the two. And that's one of the reasons also that a lot of hit runners were actually stealing off him early in his career whenever they had the opportunity to get on first, because that was the big challenge.
Roger Clemens told me once he used a very firm glove all the time because he didn't want any chance that the ball could go into a very flexible glove and you could see whatever grip he was using. This is the extent our players go to. So Eduardo doesn't steal from him.
But it's sort of like Robin Hood, right? You steal from them, but it's for the benefit of the good of the community.
By the way, that's Tony Gwynn's son, Tony Gwynn Jr., who's been the radio analyst now for a few years on the Padres broadcasts, who is an absolute spitting image of his father.
Did we get a smile from him right there? I think we did. I think he looked in the monitor and he said, wait a second, that's me.
How about Tony Gwynn Sr.? 297 3-hit games, 1 3-strikeout games.
It's Tony Jr., who's a big league player in his own right. Tony Gwynn Jr. I was lucky enough to cover in the minor leagues in AAA with the Syracuse Chiefs, who were the Nationals affiliate at the time. And the first year after his father passed, Tony Gwynn Jr. had a walk-off hit on Father's Day.
Oh.
That is the kind of stuff that just makes you think there is nothing more romantic than baseball. As Nathan Martorell walks to load the bases for San Diego.
So the day Tony Gwynn went into the Hall of Fame, I saw Tony Jr. in the lobby of the Otesaga Hotel, 9 o'clock in the morning. His dad's going in this afternoon. And I said, how's your dad doing? And he said, he sent me down here to get him a beer. It's 9 o'clock in the morning because his dad is so nervous. And then Tony Jr. looks at me and goes, my dad doesn't drink. He's going to start on the day he's going in the Hall of Fame because he's so nervous about the speech. And of course, typical Tony Gwynn, he goes out and crushes the speech without drinking a beer.
So you had the beer, right? Because somebody had to drink it.
And then there was Kenny Rogers. The one time I knew the fastball was coming, I missed it. I missed it, and I was so mad at myself. And he walks halfway home, and he goes, why are you yelling? I'm like, I'll tell you later. Get back on the mound.
Kenny Rogers was a left-handed shortstop in high school. Played the outfield once in a while.
You really like standing up while we're in the shot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
we're
didn't
on
realize
camera.
I have to stand up. I can't see over the monitor to see the game.
It's okay. You don't cut your head with your size.
Kenny Rogers was a left-handed shortstop, got drafted as a pitcher, went to his first spring training, and they told him, okay, let's see you throw from the stretch now. And he goes, how do you do that? I've never done that before, because he'd never pitched before. He ended up having a great career and having one of the best pickoff moves ever, and he didn't even know how to go to the stretch his first year in pro ball.
He's a left-hander who drew some amazing comparisons in his time on the mound. I did not know he started as a left-handed shortstop. That's amazing. See, this is what you get during a 24-pitch spring training, and Tim and Eddie just empty the notebooks. Marcos Castañón flies out, and the Dodgers pitching continues to excel. Gave up 1 run yesterday. They've given up 1 run today. Hey, another special guest, Jeff Passan, when we come back.